And thank you for joining us from wherever you may be. We're live from our studios here in Kukumlimli on digital address GA0992539. Now here are our top stories for this hour. From non-existent to ongoing projects, we continue to track government's infrastructure as we keep tabs on our correspondents from across the country. Also, some Ghanaians refuse to wear the face masks in spite of fears by the Ghana Health Service that non-compliance to protocol, especially wearing of masks, could lead to a rebound in cases. Villagers of Friboy no longer have to trek long distances to muddied streams to get drinking water after Promisador Ghana Limited, producers of cowbell, construct a borehole for them. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us. This is The Pulse, and it kicks off in just a moment. Right, let's get started. Now, the Ghana Health Service has emphasized the need for everyone to wear face masks to prevent a spike in COVID-19 cases. Now, some European countries recently recorded a spike in COVID-19 cases as a result of non-compliance to the COVID-19 safety protocols. Now, in Ghana today, research has shown that observation of these protocols have reduced drastically. What is accounting for this latest attitude exhibited by the general public? Is it the case that the decline of inactive cases recorded by the Ghana Health Service has given the impression that the disease has been defeated? We'll be interrogating that in a bit. But yesterday at a news conference, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Abuaji, expressed concern that the refusal of some members of the public to adhere to the safety protocols will lead to a spike in cases under management. Let's hear him.
One of the most sensitive ones is the use of the mask. If you realize the last 3 or so weeks we have been conducting the mask wearing. In the first one that was published, we had about intention to use of about 80% plus, about 44% were using the mask appropriately. In the next slide, and the next survey that was done, this number dropped to 15%. And that means that people are dropping their guard, and all that we've done, what we are having now is because of the things we've done. So if people stop dropping their guns to stop using the masks, and about 54% of people are not wearing masks, that is a major, major worry. The following week, which is the very latest one, it dropped to 14.4% in Greater Accra. This is the epicenter. Greater Accra is the one that is driving the pandemic. And so it's extremely important that we reset and go back and start wearing the mask so that wherever we have, as the active cases are coming down, as the positives are coming down, it will continue to go down. We started with 1 case and we got to 42,000. And so where we are now, we are not, we have what's an easy calm. We need to be very, very careful. And so that is our major worry, that we need to intensify the campaign.
Now, Dr. Abuaji also gave the cumulative case count as 43,949, with 1,287 of them being active cases.
Continues to improve despite the dangers that we are facing in terms of dropping our guard. We are recording now 1,287 active cases, with a cumulative total of about 43,949 cases. 42,000 of that has recovered, leaving an active case of 1,287. With recorded so far 270 deaths, accounting for about 0.6% of the total of the at the risk. Next slide. We have so far tested about 431,272 people, and 43,000 is positive, and that brings our positivity rate about 10%. And this majority have been the contact tracing, and we also have about 1/3 of them coming out of the routine cases. That's for those who show symptoms and are tested. As you can see, the numbers, we have probably 1.5 waves. You see, if you see, in June we had a very huge spike, but we continue to go down. So we are very happy that if this continues, and we'll be probably out of the woods, but we have to do that by ensuring that we do what we have been doing, testing, isolating, and also applying the protocols that are needed. Next slide. So if you look at the moving averages, they continue to go down. And so we're still on the downward trend, but we need to continue and improve what we are doing to continue with that. Next slide. Yes, so at the time of reporting, we have recorded about 108 new cases from 22 districts. It's not 216, 260. And from 6 out of the 16 regions were reported, which means that 10 regions did not report any case.
Right, we're now joined by Dr. Bernard Hammond, President of the Ghana Association of Doctors in Residency. Dr. Hammond, thank you for your time. Now, one of the big concerns in many countries that are managing COVID-19 is with community spread. This is one of the things that the Ghana Health Service is concerned might be on the research if we don't observe the protocols. Talk to me, according to your members, are we seeing a surge in community spread in recent times?
Okay, thank you, Kojo, and good afternoon to all viewers. A surge, it will be difficult for me to categorically say we are seeing an increase in the surge because of the test. Are we still testing? We've had challenges. Now, even if you go to the Ghana Health Service website, to the COVID tracker, the last situation update was on the 24th. So between 24th till date, we don't know what is happening. I don't know when the last sample was taken. The record of, I heard the Director General of the Ghana Health Service mentioning that we had recorded 108 new cases at over the past, I think that's the most recent count. It seems to be decreasing, but you forget that we are now using clinical indicators, not just the laboratory test results. For instance, if someone comes in, the person complains symptomatic of COVID, you may be asked to, okay, go home, self-isolate for 14 days. If your symptoms disappear, then you resume your normal activities. So that's a clinical definition. Are these cases also being counted as part of the 108? Are they still being recognized as part of the 108? So it will be difficult for me to objectively say there is either an increase or a decrease in the numbers, because the parameters that were being used when the pandemic started as to strict definition to the laboratory pickup of cases, we're able to easily count and identify the number of cases. Is it the same as what is pertaining now? If the goalpost has changed, it will be difficult for me to say that there's been an increase or a decrease in the numbers.
Now, at a point, the case definitions were adjusted in conformity with the WHO. Yes. So essentially, yes, now we know that if you're symptomatic, you will if you're symptomatic, then yes, you will be declared to have recovered 14 days after your first symptoms. Yeah. Yes. So yes, tell me, how has this affected the way in which we are measuring our progress? Has it been a dramatic change, or was that the right thing to do? Have we still got our eye on the ball in terms of what's the reality on the ground?
You know, when you take a look at their economic indicators, it's not just about health. For instance, a vast majority, over 90% of cases that are positive are virtually asymptomatic, and there are some who have some mild symptoms. These persons wouldn't be admitted to any facility. They will probably, when you use the emergency number, you call in, you tell us, and they will ask you, are you breathless? Are you having any very severe symptoms? If none, okay, so you stay in your house, depending on whatever parameters that you are using. Are these numbers also captured as part of positive cases? it will be difficult. So if we are being restricted to the cases that report to the hospital that are very severe cases that are kept in the holding bay or in the treatment centers, definitely our case count will continue to go down. I still can't objectively say that the number of cases is either going up or going down because of the shift in the. Are we still recording? The best person to really get at the district health directorates of the Ghana Health Service to give us that information, whether we are indeed recording all those cases, the clinical definition. If someone phones in and gives you his symptoms and he's deemed mild, is this still recorded as, okay, we have recorded one case? Is that still being done? That's a bit difficult to say.
Tell me in general terms what you and your members believe when it comes to how well Ghana is doing in managing COVID-19. The numbers are telling a better story than before, but what do you and your members believe is the reality?
Okay, so we started from, as you said, one case, and now we are at almost 43,000 cases, of which a substantial number have recovered. We started with a spread count, not fear. I don't know, but I tend to believe that that message went down too well with the general Ghanaian population. There was nothing to fear. It is good in managing pandemics, but that should go hand in hand with the things that people are to do, the protocol that they are supposed to observe to break the tide of the pandemic. But you could tell that the message of spread count is nothing to be scared about. Those who were succumbing to the disease had serious comorbidities. That was the message that was being preached from day one. So a lot of people tend to, well, we are young, we are strong. When you are taking some herbal concoctions or something, you won't succumb to this disease. So that has gradually eaten down to our subconscious, and now people can boldly step out of their houses, go out on the street with no fear that even they can't get the disease because they are young and they have all this supposed immunity to this virus. But that has been the general trend. So we are still on a high state of death in our hospitals. That I can say for our members, because we know it's still true, it's still out there, because we still see the severe cases as they come to the hospital, breathless, needing oxygen, already struggling with other people with other conditions for the same meager resources. So we believe it's still out there. We know it's still out there. And as doctors, as health professionals, we still need to be on a high state of alert because it's not over. Right.
There is a lot of concern about the failure of members of the public to adhere to the protocols. Mask wearing seems to be on the decline. Yes. What would you want to say to members of the public about this? How important is it that we all stick to these protocols?
Yes, and principally with mask wearing, it helps very, very much, because when you have a mask, you are restricting the volume of droplets that you are expelling into the general air that everyone is taking in. So one, you are protecting the general public, and you're also protecting yourself. You're also limiting the particles that you are inhaling. Sometimes with them, aside COVID, a lot of respiratory, some droplets are in the air that may also result in respiratory inflammation of sorts. It's general. So mask wearing is the easiest thing that you can do. Now, when we started at the peak of the pandemic, you could tell that the recorded numbers, you could tell that the cost of these face masks was astronomical. But gradually, because of the market forces, it's really come down, and we are all being encouraged to buy or use cloth masks. So really, you don't have an excuse, except you just don't want to observe the protocols. And now, previously, before you enter some of the big shops, you go out there. There's a Veronica bucket that you are supposed to wash your hands. They will check your temperature before you go. But it seems that everybody is relaxing. I don't know whether people have gotten comfortable with the idea that because we say this is the new normal, so they are just relaxed about everything. But I want to encourage the general public. Let's still use the face mask. So as soon as you are stepping out of your house, in your own house, it's a controlled environment. Even if someone has been tested positive, you can isolate, you know the danger. Once you are stepping out, you are not sure of what is out there. You are not sure of the status of the next person. And really, it's not just the elderly or those with comorbidities. We've had younger people, 30s, 20s, 40s, who are also coming in with severe disease. We always say that the COVID-19, the virus, is an evolving one. We are still learning. So we don't really know what makes it tick, like have take a severe course in some individuals, or even in some countries. You all know what happened in the United States and in some parts of Europe, and Italy, how the virus took the pandemic took a very, very severe course, and why we in Ghana, we are having just a mild course. But we don't want to get there. We don't want to use ourselves as guinea pigs to find out, because we know how fragile our health support systems are.
Right. Dr. Bernard Hammond, President of Ghana Association of Doctors in Residence, GADOR, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it ever so much. Now, let's see if we can figure out why it appears that the protocols are being adhered to less and less by members of the public. We went out in the street to ask you.
Using it. It's not that I do not have it. I have my own, but sometimes I remove it to receive fresh air, because sometimes our weather here is too hot, it's too harsh. To come put on nose mask is somehow. And even this coronavirus you are talking about, I don't even believe in it in Africa. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the number one truth. I don't believe them. If some people believe on it, that one concern them. But for me, I don't believe in the coronavirus, because that one will not affect me. Even if I wear nose mask or not wear nose mask, coronavirus will never reach my side.
If somebody is coming, I don't know the person, he have sick on her or him. That's why I'm doing this. So I'm taking myself.
I have breathing difficulties while carrying the bread and wearing the mask at the same time. That's why I don't wear it at all.
I want to have some fresh air. That's why I've not been wearing the masks.
I don't have any reason for not wearing it. I don't believe that COVID-19 is real. It's only God who can protect us, and not the sickness. It's only God who can protect us. I don't believe in the nose mask or even the sickness.
Right. Now, from tracking the manifesto to infrastructure debates to legalizing Okada and Domfase clashes, we speak with our correspondents. We begin with residents of Asene Manso Akrosso district in the eastern region, who say that the much talked about infrastructure development across the country is not a hoax. The residents claim to have seen tremendous improvement in the infrastructure in the most deprived communities within their district. Maxwell Kudeko has been fact-checking some of these projects in the Asene Manso Akrosso district. Check this out.
Contrary to claims challenging the reality of infrastructure development under the Akufo-Addo government presented by Vice President Mahmoud Bawumia, the Akrosso residents have confirmed that their districts have seen the much talk about infrastructure development. Some of the residents talk about the construction of a steel bridge connecting Manti to other cocoa growing communities, electrification projects at Dwanidami and other communities, mechanized borehole at Esheim, construction of boys' dormitory, classroom blocks, and roads at Akrosso Senior High School, Akrosso Town Roads, Akrosso Odan Road, and the construction of the Akrosso Market. Joy News have been fact-checking some of the projects in the Asene Manso Akrosso district and have been talking to some residents within the community.
And then I feel I won't go from the cafe into Timbripi, no, or paint that high end. I'm not a buy for Friboy, where no baby, you're crying the wood, I would bridge bay, young, and Puntoy, Mansukuri, Abrabo, near the mountain to be a queen bear.
First, na kani ni hanu na ahabra wedding yi na afa ebi wo hwa ayi afa gesa ni nyina wo koto krasi asana watumi adana sese nyame ya adoma yama pani obesi shi bibia koye ya break na ye na sese.
At the Akrosso Clinic, a senior nurse at Pools, Mrs. Belinda Yaira Dekpo, explained the clinic has only one detention room which serves as male, female, and children ward, but the current administration is putting up a 40-bed male and female ward for the hospital. Senior housemaster at the Akrosso Senior High School, Mr. Gineku Alexandra, also spoke to Joy News.
Only one ward, one detention ward, comprising 5 beds. But currently there's a structure just behind you going on, a male and female ward under construction.
I can attest to the fact that when it comes to infrastructure, Akrosso Senior High Technical School has had its fair share, and it is on the grounds. It is not an illusion. It is not a matter of debate, but what is happening on the grounds.
District Chief Executive for the Asene Manso Akrosso District Assembly, Mr. Alex Inkum, hinted the district have benefited from over 130 infrastructure development. He assured residents of more development under the Akufo-Addo government.
Count about 130 projects that the Akufo-Addo government has brought to Asene Manso Akrosso District. 130, from education infrastructure, health infrastructure, economic and social infrastructure, electrification projects, water and sanitation, tourism, and many others. Under Nana Addo Akufo-Addo, he is building 3 big projects in the Akrosso Senior High. As I took you around, currently there's 2-story dormitory block ongoing, 6-unit classroom block ongoing, and then senior house master's bungalow ongoing in Akrosso Senior High School. Nana Addo and my MP Olua has done 34 so far. 34 communities are enjoying electricity from the national grid. Additional 11 is ongoing, and we hope to complete those projects by the end of the year. If Akufo-Addo, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, says he has done more infrastructure than John Mahama, using Asene Manso Akrosso as a case study, it is true.
So that's a story filed by my colleague Maxwell Kudeko in the Eastern region. He joins me now via Zoom. Maxwell, it's good to speak to you. Now, talk to me about this Youth Development Center, the Koforidua Sports Stadium, and the other projects that you've taken the time to look at.
Well, reporting live from the car park of the formerly used to be called the Koforidua Sports Stadium. Right. But now the Ministry of Sports says it is called Youth Development Center. The minister program for the construction or reconstruction of the stadium over a year ago, and then we were told that construction was supposed to have been completed in 9 months. Even though the construction have delayed, I can report that the contractor is almost 95% done with the job. It's very difficult to have access to the facility. Just last week, I had the privilege to enter to this facility, and I can report that the pitch is ready, the stands are ready, and then they are left with some few electrical works to complete the Youth Development Center here in Koforidua. Now we are told that the Youth Development Center, once fully completed, will have pitches for all the sporting disciplines. It's going to have an ICT center. They also have in the facility a library, a counseling center, restaurant, and other facilities that will attract youth to this place. So the Youth Development Center in Koforidua is almost 95% complete. We can attest to it that it is happening. There are several projects that we have witnessed in the Eastern region, including electrification projects, including the construction of roads and what have you. In the Fantiakwa North District, not too long ago, the MP and the DC commissioned they connected about 28 communities to the national grid, including Adokwe, Betsibo, Feyasi, and the other communities. The same has been done, including some communities referred to as Memimu, Kutiase, Ejebia, and other places. There are several cities in the region that is being given facelift with respect to road construction. If you go to Chebi right now, the Chebi Township has benefited from asphaltic relay. Same is happening in Kropon and other communities. So we can report that most of the infrastructure we talk about in the budget presentation are very rare in most parts of the Eastern region.
Right, thank you so much for that. Maxwell Kudeko there, fact-checking the projects in the Eastern region. Okay, now let's head to the Damongo Senior High School in West Gonja municipality of the Savannah region to find out whether the two-story classroom project described as ongoing on the tracker is a reality. Here's Isaac Nonya joining me. Isaac, talk to me about this, this project. What have you found?
Yes, Joe. The project, according to the foreman, and what I've seen myself, is about 95% complete. And with the 5% left, has to do some painting work, carpentry, and some education. That is left to be done, to be added. We got here a few minutes ago, realized that there were power outage, and because of that, the terrestrial work that was being put on had to come to a halt, waiting for lights to resume for them to start. The ceiling, part of the building has gotten the ceiling, electrification, painting, and the major work that is left here has to do with terrestrial work in the middle classrooms, both down and up. And we realize that at the back of it, some beaming work, that is carpentry work, is yet to be added for the project to be handed over to government. The carpenter, who is one, Raphael Juba, said that what they need to do now, between now and the middle of next month, is to put all this together and to hand over the work to government. 100 meters away from here is another 6-unit classroom block that is being built for the same senior high, and I think that was something that was not added in the Vice President's presentation. The project is together with another 12 units, a similar one behind me, a 2-story building at Indewo Senior High, where they're trying to also let them come up from the double track. And actually we're told that come next month, that's because of that infrastructure that is being replaced, will ease off the double track and then go back to the single track.
Right. Now, thank you for that, Isaac. Kofi Diaboating is a project manager for the 6-unit classroom block. Let's hear him briefly.
Project whereby the government wants to do to, stop the double tracking. This is a girls' dormitory. A girls' dormitory here at Damongo Senior High School, and it's a two project. We are doing this girls' dormitory, and we have a boys' dormitory down there. The site has been graded by the headmaster, who said that he wants to get the girls' dormitory first before the boys' dormitory. At the same time, we are doing the 12-unit classroom block at in their school, senior secondary technical. So that one is from here. We have to go there.
I'm talking about here. What structure? What are the features of this one?
It's a girls' dormitory. We have this one-story girls' dormitory.
Okay.
Yeah. We have 6 dormitories. with washrooms, and then they have a common room there. It's like a compound house. So we have 3 here and then 3 at the other side with a compound in between them.
What stage are you now, and when are you supposed to finish?
We are trying to finish the substructure. So it's within 8 months. Within 8 months, we have to finish this project. We started about a month and a half ago. So hopefully we can finish the block laying by next week, and then the filling will start. So by the middle of September, we are going to have the substructure finished.
Right, now let's go back to our correspondent Isaac Nonya. Isaac, I know there are 2 other projects besides this 2-story classroom block. Tell us the status of those.
Yes, that of the in the work that was senior high, technical senior high school, is still within the first stage. We have to do foundation, and we are told that one will travel some 2-3 months time. But with what we have seen so far, we think that the duration given by the contractor is something to go by, because they started earlier on before that of the 6-unit classroom block at the Damago Senior High. And once management of the school and then the West Gonja Municipality Municipal Assembly are saying that that particular school needs to start the single track system come September, is something to go by.
Right, okay. Well, thanks for that. We'll keep an eye on it, and we know that you will stay abreast of those developments. Now, let's listen quickly to the MCE Said Muhazu Jibril.
The government intention is to abolish the double track, and so there's the need for this infrastructure in the secondary schools to quicken the pace in the building of this infrastructure. And the West Gonja municipality, those that are ongoing, as you have seen in the Vice President's presentation, these are 2 structures that are still ongoing. Some are virtually even finished, 90%. If you take, for instance, the 12-unit classroom block in Damago Senior High, 95% complete. You take the girls' dormitory, it is almost at 70% completion, and some are ongoing. If you take, for instance, there's a 6-unit classroom block in Damago Senior High, still ongoing. Then you go as far as Ndaura Japa Senior High. That one is a 12-unit classroom block. It's 12 units classroom block. That one is a single story. But as I speak, Indesco is formally out of the double track. Come September, they are going to be doing the single track because of the classrooms that have been built already there. So if you saw them in the infrastructure debate that is going on, you go to Indesco, you see that we have 2 units, 2 number 6-unit classroom blocks already complete. And that is why they have been cleared to do the single track this year. If you see what is going on currently, apart from the ongoing projects in the education sector, maybe if we limit ourselves or go beyond it, we have other projects that are ongoing, which we didn't even capture in the infrastructure that we provided for the Vice President in the West Gonja municipality for him to actually tell the people of this country. If you go to the Savannah Regional Coordinating Council, you will see that the Regional Coordinating Council is a big project that is ongoing. Then we have the Ghana Education Service, Regional Educational Service building that is ongoing. You have similar things scattered across. The health is in Central Gonja, Bole. You have also Agric ongoing. These were not even captured in the Vice President presentation that he made. But we were just looking basically projects that the District Assembly, the Education Service, or the GET Fund actually give to the various districts.
Right, now let's stay up north. Let's go to the Upper East region where our correspondent Albert Story has been doing a follow-up to government's promise of hot meals. Also, he's been looking at housing projects listed as ongoing. So tell us, Albert, which schools did you go to and what did you find?
Yes, Kojo. So hello?
Right, I hope you can hear us. We can hear you clearly. So just go ahead, tell us what you found in the schools that you went to.
Yes, so on Monday, we were at the Catholic cluster of schools, and then the Methodist school in Bolgatanga municipality. It was the first time they had started with the serving of the meals for these junior high school students. So we wanted to speak with them and to know if they were okay with the meals. Now, one thing you would observe speaking to these GSS students was that some of them were really excited because this is something that had not happened for them before. And so knowing that they were coming to school and they were going to get a meal, which they would not pay for, was something that was exciting for them. And you could tell, you know, speaking to them and interacting with them, that they were happy about it. The first time they served them jollof rice with an egg each, which, you know, from our interaction with them, they were telling us that they liked the meal. We also got the opportunity to interact with the school feeding coordinator, who told us that for the rest of the time until they write their BECE, they were going to be serving them some meals, and, you know, they had a menu which they were going to use to change the meals from time to time.
Right, so at this point, do the students feel that what they're being given is nutritious enough? Do they feel it's going to make an impact on their teaching and learning and their ability to concentrate in school?
Exactly. At Methodist, for instance, when we got there, they had already finished eating their meal on that day. Now, when we were speaking to them, one of the students told us that usually some of them come to school without pocket money for lunch. And, you know, by the time it is getting to afternoon, they become hungry. And so concentrating in class becomes very difficult for them. Now, because of this, what was happening was that, you know, if they were served a meal, then it will make it easier for them to concentrate, and they will not have to worry about not having money for food. On the nutrition aspect of it, some of them said that, well, the meal may not be exactly what they normally would have at home, but the fact that, you know, there was an egg in the meal, which would take care of their protein needs, they were quite satisfied, you know, with the nutrition content of the meal. So you get the impression that generally these children were satisfied with the meals they were being given.
That's good. Talk to me about the infrastructure projects that you've been monitoring. What are your findings?
So one of the projects we monitored was the 120 housing units said to be under construction in Kwalugu. In fact, the project site is located at Pusunamongo, which is the community before you get to Kwalugu. So we wanted to know what exactly they meant when they said that the construction was ongoing and listed it as such on the delivery tracker. And what we found was that they had recently come there to clear the land which is meant for this project. In November last year, when the president visited the Upper East region to cut sod for the construction of the Kwalugu Dam, he also used that ceremony to cut sod for this particular project we are talking about. But since then, nothing had been said about it until we recently saw it on the delivery tracker. So we just got there and realized that it was just 2 days after the vice president had that town hall session at which, the delivery tracker was also made public, that they came to do some bulldozing. In fact, we saw the bulldozer that was used to create a pathway from the Bolga-Tamale Road to this site, which is about some 5-minute walk from the side of the road, And apart from the bulldozing which has taken place, there were some trees which we suspect are in the way of the construction, which they also took down during the course of that job. But apart from that, nothing else has been done. We got the opportunity to talk to a farmer whose farm is just around that particular land, whom we met at the time that we visited. And he was the one who told us everything he had seen. But he said that they used the opportunity of the recent bulldozing they did, the trees that they cut, they collected firewood from those trees. So he witnessed firsthand everything that had happened. But for now, construction itself has not begun on this project.
Thank you for that. Thank you very much. Albert Sore is our Upper East Regional correspondent. We can now take you to Tamale in the northern region, where our correspondent Martina Bugri joins us with the story of a community constructing their own chips compound. Martina, tell us a bit more.
This community is known as Tarpa. It's in the Saviligu municipality. World Vision, through an initiative in this community, established the Community Health Committee. Now, this community health committee's mandate was to liaise between the health center and then the community. But the committee has moved beyond just doing that into other projects that is bringing benefits or development to the community. And one is the chips compound they are currently building. What I gathered from the assemblyman and some of the community members were that they raised their own funds and they built the chips compound to the roofing stage. And so what they are right now asking for is support to be able to roof the compound and then open it out for health delivery.
Right. Well, it seems they've gone quite a distance on their own. What is the authority seeking to do to support?
Well, from the assemblyman, he said the politicians are not serious, and so they have had to do it on their own. They don't want to rely solely on government, and then they will not have it done. And so they are hoping that benevolent organizations and concerned citizens of the area would support so that they can finish the project.
Martina, tell us, why is this project so important to the community? What's the state of health in that community, and what difference will this CHIPS compound make?
Now, when the CHIPS compound system was introduced, there are 3 communities. They didn't have health service. And so anytime you needed to attend to hospital, you needed to go to the Saviligu Health Center. So these communities thought that if they are able to build their own CHIPS compound, then they will have health personnel in the area who would assist them. And so they built a smaller one, and that is where they have been operating from. But currently the state is in bad shape, is dilapidated, and it poses a danger to people who come in and go out. And that is why they took the initiative to start a new one.
Martina, thank you so much for that update. And we're now going from the northern to the Oti region, where Peter Senu has been busy. Now, he's been checking on some roads listed as completed on the government's tracker. Peter, tell me, what's been the reaction of residents to some of the areas you visited where the roads named are to be found? Right, Peter, perhaps you'll have to unmute your screen so that we can hear you. There you are. Yes.
Okay.
Go ahead, Peter.
Yeah. Yes, as we reported within the week, well, residents are happy. We are bringing what is on the ground to bear for authority to know exactly what is happening vis-a-vis what they claim they have done. And in fact, reactions have also been coming in from the political front as to whether the routes we have captured are really routes that have been in use or not. And then, you know, as usual, individuals who are politically, inclined would want to put down the report we have carried out in recent times. And some of which says that the road, especially the old Insuta road, is not in use. And for me, if it is not in use, how did it get its name onto government documents? You know, and so these are the questions on the minds of people. How did it get its name onto government document and asked him by government? And you know, this does not suggest that government is also not doing anything in the OT region. In fact, where I am standing now is the road between Jessica and Odopepesu. If you can watch from behind me, construction is ongoing. And so government is doing a lot in the OT region in terms of roads. Contractors are on site working seriously on some of the roads, as we have captured in our reports. And so that is what is happening now. You know, one of the things we must also bring to our viewers and listeners is that the Kwame Krom Nkunya Road is also under construction. But a week ago, as I used the road, same time around this time, I did not see anyone on that road. In fact, there are portions that have been left out yet to be attended to. And so those portions, we have loose chippings on it. And every day drivers complain that it's wearing off their tires. Some get flat tires as many times as possible on the road. And so these are things we can report here from the OT region. Government really is doing something on the ground.
Peter, now roads are of such great importance to most Ghanaians. Tell us about how the impact of such bad roads is affecting the residents of the OT region.
Right. As I did mention earlier, you know, last week I traveled, I have counted about 4 cars that had flat tires between the Nkunya and Kwame Krom Road because of the bad portions that still currently hold. If you take the Accra Quarters Bridge and then the road, for instance, today is a small market, as they call it, for the Tapabutuasi area. Tomorrow will be the big market. In fact, road vehicles use that road. It is the shortest route between Jessica and Tapabutuasi. And so if anything, you know, prevents them from moving on that road swiftly, you know, the economic impact of our movement, people will have to delay unduly to get to their destinations. And a business is the soul of life. I mean, yeah, that's the blood of what we do every day. And so if the road is fixed, it will go a long way to boost economic activities, in fact, help the areas to develop.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for that update. And Peter Sinu is our correspondent in the OT region. Let's go now to the Volta region, where President Akufo-Addo just completed his tour. Ivy Setoji has been keeping an eye on projects there. Ivy, which of the projects are people most expectant of? Ivy, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yeah, there you are. Ivy, tell me, which of the projects seems to be highest on the priority list? Right, we're going
to... the projects are the catapults, the water project, the catapults. The catapults or catahabo is very important to the people of the Volta region, especially those in the southern parts, that's Keta and Anglogan districts. They want government to make sure that this project, which already has a director, it was started and it's safe because it has been long and government has not done anything about it. They want to see it on the ground. And also the water project that the president cut short yesterday, they hope that the project will start soon
so that communities along these areas, especially the southern water, will be able to get potable water, especially in some areas like Tanyaku, for example, where there has always been an acute water shortage.
Okay, now I know you've been looking at residents in the border communities who have had to endure hardship and hunger after the closure of the border. Now, these residents, mostly traders and weavers, say they're unable to feed their families due to the pandemic that resulted in the closure of these borders. How are they coping?
So I am in one community, cost of women, in the capital where most of these people are from the border communities, that they are always hungry because of the closure of the border. Now today, the PC or the parliamentary candidate for David and Palos Kwashi came to do 1,000 bags of maize and some other foodstuffs at 10,000 cedis to help these communities, residents in this community, to alleviate poverty in this community. According to them, they want to continue giving these people help until the border is open. Residents want government to open the border soon so that they can go back to their normal duties and feed their families.
Right, Ivy, thank you very much for that update. We appreciate it. Let's go now to the Bono East town of Dromankese, where one of the projects captured on government's delivery tracking website doesn't appear to exist. Residents there say there's no such project currently in place, despite government stating that a 3.95-kilometer upgrading of the Dromankese town roads has been done and is stated on their website.
Machine sequence from Bromai to Lucia as a district capital there, Nano, and Caribbean. New machine sequence where Juma. In future year, money and nominate Yakoba. New a machine is so. The Martin said from a table about village where Frequency. When I say machines was so more yes with Juma. Na say free Dromankese Echo district capital here. Because a machine is sequence because in fact, for this today, new machine be a year maybe a plan so to because a my kwana you could be any among your kwanum baby until this ready to abandon say one more na kwan 1 year yes a political about what time don't see the fidi so na pia so na di chese ya kwante be to aba aban de ya be to wan kire wadwen na onye mamba pa be kwan de omomode se obeya man.
Right, our correspondent Anas Sabit is currently in that community, joins us with more. Anas, what is this we're hearing? It doesn't exist? The road doesn't exist?
Yes, exactly. After the vice president's program where he indicated the number of projects have done under this administration, the opposition NDC, through its national communications officer, Sami Jensi, also held a press conference where they indicated some of the projects that were non-existent. I heard him specifically mention the Manchester town. So this morning I set off to come and then track and then check the reality on the ground. And in fact, when we got here, the road, there's no contractor on the road. There are no excavators. There's nothing happening. The road currently ongoing, as stated on the delivery tracker website, and we've been engaging some of the community members. Some of them have said in recent times they've seen some people come into the community to take measurements of the road, but as in actually having contractors into the community to ensure that the road is constructed, there's nothing close to that. Our checks on the ground, and we are currently standing on the road. You see a car just passed by, and the dust, according to the people, there has been an albatross around their necks, and they're calling on authorities to come in and then save them from what they are going through now.
Thank you for that, Anas. Now, so at the moment, for the members of this community, who have no knowledge of this road whatsoever. How are the local authorities responding to this? Is there any explanation forthcoming about how this road ended up on the website? Because they're the ones who are supposed to have fed information to central government on it.
But we've tried to get to the community leaders, especially the Nananum of the area. They were told the traditional authority are not in the community as we speak. I engaged one of the assembly members who said there's a land before you get into the community which has been cleared. They are told that is where the contractor is going to keep his items. That is yet to be brought to the ground. That is what they were told. And about a week ago, they had some guests coming into the community to take measurements of the roads and assure them that it is going to be done. That the community folks told us something like that actually happened. In actual sense, the road is not ongoing as indicated on the delivery tracker website. Maybe it is going to be worked on after our visit, but in actual sense, there's nothing like that happening as we speak from the community.
Anas, thank you very much. Right, let's do something else in Techiman. Okada riders are hailing the decision of flag bearer of the opposition NDC, John Mahama, to legalize their business if elected. Now, the operators, in an interview with correspondent Anas Sabit, called on all political parties to consider legalizing the trade as it currently serves as an employment avenue for the youth. There's more in this report.
The presidential candidate of the opposition National Democratic Congress, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, has recently promised to legalize the Okada trade when voted into office in the December 2020 polls. How do these riders welcome this particular news? We are here at the Techiman Central Market where we are engaging most of these riders who apply their trade to and from other parts of the municipalities. Are they happy about this particular trade? Join us as we get interactive with some members of the Pragia Riders Association here in Techiman. Let's get interactive with them. Mr. Fuseni Salifu is the vice chairman of the Pragia Riders Association. He tells me that the association welcomes the news as one of the greatest wishes of the group is to see to the legalization of the Okada trade.
When I heard the news concerning the former president say that when he gets power, he's going to legalize it. In fact, I was very happy. We have a very large number. As we speak now, we have a membership not less than 1,500 in Techiman here. And legalizing Pragia is something that we've been yearning for a very long time now. And so with the former president saying when he comes to power, he's going to do that for us, we are very much happy about that. When that is done, I think we are going to benefit a lot from it.
Mr. Salifu tells me that the introduction of the Okada trade has decreased the crime rate amongst the youth as most of the youth are now into their business.
When we began this thing, initially the taxi drivers and even the people in the community were complaining, and all sort of things. And now those Akronfa were referring to, I think with this particular job, they have been shifted. What they used to do now, I think they are out of those now because they have something doing now. And so all those things, those vices they were in, they are out of those things and they are now, because when the person comes out, at the end of the day, he will get something in his pocket.
General Secretary of the group, Mr. Jan Abdurov, disagrees with the group who are of the view that the Okada trade causes more accidents in the country.
Sometimes people argue that the Pragia and what have you, they cause a lot of accidents. It's never like that. You see, I always say, sometimes the U-turn buses, one accident can take about 50 lives. The Pragia here is not like that.
He, however, suggests that various political parties should capture the legalization of the trade in their manifestos.
We are hoping that all Ghanaians will help us to plead to all the political parties to include the legalization of Pragia into their manifestos.
Some members of the Pragia Riders Association have been sharing with JoyNews what the Okada trade means to them and how it's been supportive to their families.
It's mine 2.5 years. We were at school 2015.
I've been into this trade for about 2.5 years now, and I've been taking care of my siblings through this.
Oh, any day I need because the come don't know Obia Frabonta catch us say Obama Obiana here, one inje. One budget because I didn't want a Bobian say.
We are very excited about JN's promise because this is providing so much jobs to the youth, especially those who are out of school. We've been speaking with some users of these tricycles, and here is their response with regards to the promise by the former president to get it regularized.
Since they came into inception, the taxi businesses have almost collapsed. So right now they are almost the only means that we get when we are going to our various places. So I think legalization of them, but then measures should be put in place to ensure that they operate within the legal framework or they operate within the laws, and then they are purely regulated. But as it stands now, it seems they are doing their own things, so they should be strictly regulated.
Why don't we go to the Upper West region now, where Rafiq Salam joins us with the latest on the suspension of commercial flights at the Wa Airport. He's also been monitoring some projects. Rafiq, if you can hear me, why don't you walk us through the latest? All right, I think you may have to unmute your feed so we can hear you, Rafiq. Hello, Rafiq. Right, we're attempting to connect with Rafiq Salam.
Hello.
He's got the latest on the closure or the suspension of commercial flights at Wa Airport. Rafiq, if you can hear me, what's the latest?
Hello.
Yes, Rafiq, we can hear you. What's the latest on the suspension?
In the Upper West region, somewhere around last year, 15th October, the people of the Upper West region were really happy. They were really in cloud nine when commercial flights resumed operations at the Wa Airport. And so there was a lot of fun and pageantry right in the Upper West region. And so after operating for close to about 5 months, after the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, so the flights were suspended. And so there've been a lot of inspection team from the Ministry of Aviation or also from the Ghana Airport Authority, and they came to the Wa Airport on several occasions to inspect the airport to see how suitable again is it for flights to resume. And so what really happened was that the last visit took place last week, and that was our Aviation Minister, Kofi Ada. And then when he came to town, he talked about the telecommunication marks. These were marks that he thinks that were interfering on the flight routes and also in terms of communication between the pilots and then also their men on the ground. And so he was tight-lipped as to when the flight will resume operations in the Wa Airport. And so the people of the airport are not really happy about the situation, because remember, just a couple of weeks ago, when people were moving from Wa to Tamale, the number of people that lost their lives, about 8 people lost their lives on flying the route from Wa to Tamale, and other several instances. So the people are thinking that the issue of talking about telecommunication mark is something that they want to use to blindfold them or to deceive them. They think that there isn't any problem about them. So they are calling on the government to at least to come to their aid and also to let commercial flights resume operations at the Wa Airport.
Right, thank you for that. Rafiq Salam reporting from Wa. Let's stop now in Kumasi for an update on President Mahama's visit to Menchia Palace, where he officially introduced his running mate to the Asante Hene. Now, he also made some promises there. And Nanayao Jima was there in the palace. He's got more. Nanayao, tell us what's the latest on the president's latest promises, the former president's latest promises.
So, Kojo, when the former president, John Mahama, visited the Ashanti region,
he made two specific promises. And one, he said that when he's voted for as president in the coming general elections, he will ensure that he set up a fund that at least it will have $10 million, and this fund will be used in ensuring infrastructure projects dotted across the country. And with this amount, annually, it will invest $2 million in infrastructure projects that will improve economic situation in the whole country. And that was the first promise he made. The second one is that he will introduce what he calls corporate mining, which will replace the community mining we have now. And with the corporate mining, young people in these mining areas and people interested in mining, each of the areas will have put the people together in corporations, and these peoples who will be in the corporate mining institution will mine, and when they mine, they will reserve some of the money. They will give it to a specific fund. They'll put it in a specific fund that he will create, and this fund will be used in reclaiming the lands that will be destroyed by these miners. So what he was saying basically is that the community mining that the government has used to sanitize the mining, the mining will be, he will erase that and replace that with this corporate mining. And furthermore, still on mining, he said that some people who have had their mining lands taken away from them will be returned. According to him, these people legally acquired these mining concessions, but unfortunately, when Nana Akufo-Addo took over power, he took these lands away from them. So when he is voted for to come back into government as president of the republic, he will ensure that these lands are returned to their rightful owners, as he put it.
Right. Now, I'm hoping you can double check for us whether he meant $10 billion or 10 million, so that we can get some clarity on that. This fund, this infrastructure fund that the former president mentioned. I think you said 10 million, but I suspect that...
He actually, he said $10 billion.
10 billion,
and,
thank you.
Yes, it will be spread through 5 years when he becomes president. So it will continue even after his presidency.
Right. Thank you for that. Nanaya Ojima. Also, you've been following up on the robbery story where a mobile money vendor was shot to death in Ejisu. What's the update from the police?
Now, the information we have now is that police in the Ashanti region has been able to arrest some people they believe is connected to this incident that happened at Ejisu, where a mobile money vendor was shot by unknown assailants. And according to the police, they were able to retrieve an AK-47 rifle from these people, and they believe that this AK-47 rifle was what was used in the murdering of the mobile money vendor. So they say they have other things or other exhibits that link these people to this particular murder at Ejisu. So police is investigating that, and in due time they will bring their findings and also prosecute these people if all that they find links them to the Ejisu incident.
Right. I believe we can now hear from the police. This is what they've had to say.
In the vehicle, including an AK-47 assault rifle. We have done some physical examination, and other evidence we have gathered so far is giving us some assurance that this suspect that has been arrested has a connection with the earlier robbery. So we are assuring the general public that we are making some inroads, and the appropriate time will come out with the full details all to be rest assured that whoever has a hand in this very heinous crime will be arrested and made to face the full rigors of the law. He is in our custody. We are on the heels of other accomplices. So the public, as I indicated earlier, should remain calm as the command will do everything possible to get the perpetrators in all the crimes that have been committed in the region arrested.
Right, so that's the whip around with our correspondents. Thanks to all of them for those updates. We're going to do a little bit more, but first, let's take a breather together. We're back with more after these. You're welcome back. Some good news. The entire community of over 1,000 people used to trek for hours to a muddied stream just to get drinking water. Now the villagers of Friboy can heave a sigh of relief thanks to Promasidor Ghana Limited, producers of cowbell. A borehole, one of 20 that the beverage maker is building across the country, now means clean drinking water is readily available to the residents. Here's a report by Justice Bedu.
Children or people have to walk like 2 or 3 miles to fetch water from other community every weekend. So when they are not coming with the water, it means I'm not going to get water, or we are not going to get water to do our infection prevention. Sometimes you can even be there the whole day because there's no water, you will not bath.
This is the story of the health workers at Friboy, a small community in the Ashanti region. This facility, built 5 years ago, is the health lifeline for villagers in this small town. And yet, a lack of water has held back its ability to work properly.
Chip compound.
Our biggest problem in this town was getting water into this chips compound. When it was built, there was no water facility attached. It was tough to get even electricity.
It's not hard to find where people in Friboy used to fetch water. It is a brownish stream just on the outskirts. It has dried up and broken sticks floating all over. Aside the crunch difficulties that the health center went through before Cowbell's intervention, it was here that nearly every child in the community had to trek to before making it to school.
The rainwater used to wash all the filth into the water. That's what we use for everything here. Sometimes we have to wake up and go there at 3 a.m. Sometimes you get there and the water is so dirty.
We ask for God's blessings for Cowbell, and we would always support the work they do.
As a socially responsible company, we thought it wise to get potable water very close to the chip compound, because this is where our health facility is. Because as a brand, health is very important to us. Consuming nutritional products is very important to us. And having water close to a chip compound which doesn't have water was one major thing we actually considered before bringing water to this community.
In the era of COVID, and when hand washing is the key, hand washing is the key. And with this water, the water has come at the right time for us, because the hand washing, since some people were fetching the water for us, when they have not fetched water for you, you will not get water to use it frequently. But with the water around, anytime, at any point, the water can be accessed and we can do our proper hand washing to prevent infection prevention.
Now those risks to getting water is no more, thanks to Cowbell. Justice Bedu, JoyNews, Friboy in the Ashanti region.
Right, still on the Safe Water Project, let's remain in the Ashanti region and go to the town of Pechereche, where they are now seeing their first ever borehole. The residents used to drink from a muddy, germ-infested stream for years. Not anymore.
Cutting through the ribbon to a new source of water. This is the chief of Pechereche, a small community in the Ashanti region. It is a day of merrymaking. The assemblyman for the community sums up the feelings of everyone here.
In fact, formerly we were relying on rivers and streets, but we are farmers here, and we normally pollute our rivers with agricultural chemicals, and it wasn't safe for mankind.
The people here are gathered to see the commissioning of Pechereche's new mechanized borehole. For some, this is the first time seeing clean drinking water in their small village.
Sometimes it takes us hours to get even a bucket full of water. Pumping it is draining.
The new water system has a sustainability model attached to its implementation, making sure users will contribute to its maintenance. The smiles seen at this commissioning today is a far cry from what it used to be. Like Pechereche, many other communities drink from stream like this one.
Our water source before now was terrible. It was greenish and looked very dangerous. There were even germs in the water. Now we are better.
People in this small town are going to put the dark days behind them.
We say thank you to Cowbell for providing us the water.
Cowbell has saved us, and we are grateful. Even what we have is not enough, and we'll still beg for more.
Justice Bedu, JoyNews, Pechereche in the Ashanti region.
Right, let's do some other stories. The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has urged prison officers to treat inmates with care and decency without compromising on safety and professionalism. The general population has also been urged to ditch the attitude of stigmatizing ex-convicts and see prisoners' reintegration as a shared responsibility. Dr. Bawumia made these calls when he reviewed a parade of graduating cadet officers of the Ghana Prison Service at the Prison Officers Training School.
Government is also working closely with the service to improve the health system within our prisons, especially in this era of COVID-19. It is well understood that the disease spreads quickly in enclosed places like prisons, which are commonly epicenters for infectious diseases. This is of great concern to the government, particularly where there is overcrowding. In addition to the support with 40 medical personnel seconded from the Ghana Health Service, government has provided prison establishments with PPEs, infrared thermometers, soap, tissue papers, Veronica buckets, and so on. I would like to commend the prisons administration on the swift manner the service joined forces with other agencies in the criminal justice system and the Ghana Health Service to respond more effectively to the COVID-19 threat. The creation of risk communication teams in all prisons comprising medical, chaplaincy, and communication staff to educate and address the myth and anxiety surrounding COVID-19, as well as to tackle issues of stigmatization, has so far been effective. Again, the unrelenting effort of the service in protecting the country's prisoners from dangers of the disease is very much recognized, and I wish to commend the Director General and his able lieutenants and urge them to continue with the good work. Further to the efforts to strengthen the fight against COVID-19, the President assented to the presidential amnesty for some categories of prisoners on 7th January and 1st May this year to free a total of 1,589 from prisons to mitigate the impact of overcrowding. I hope these former prisoners will make good use of this opportunity to contribute meaningfully to the Ghanaian society.
Vice President Dr. Bawumia commended these cadet officers for successful graduation, but he also reminded them to treat inmates with decency.
We urge you not to leave the valuable instruction and training you have received here behind. As you move to your various stations, abide by the rules and regulations that guide your conduct as prison officers and direct your energies towards self-improvement. Avoid all acts of indiscipline to safeguard your career. I charge you to carry forth the ideals of the prison service which have been imparted to you in the course of your training. Let discipline and professionalism guide your conduct at all times. I also entreat you to internalize the principles of vigilance, humanity, and fortitude. These must be your watchwords in your relationship with fellow officers and inmates. Treat the prisoners with care, respect, and decency without compromising your professional ethics. I have no doubt that you will succeed.
Dr. Bawumia also called on the Ghanaian population to see prisoners' integration into society as a shared responsibility.
I'm particularly happy that the Ghana Prison Service is continuing to make strides in discharging its mandate to ensure that opportunities for developing the skills and talents of inmates are available to help them reorganize their lives for the better. The programs cover agriculture, trade, training in different vocations, and formal education for offenders who are of school-going age. However, it is sad to note that some members of society are reluctant to accept ex-convicts back into their fold and continue to stigmatize these former prison inmates. This unfortunate situation creates a disadvantage to the ex-convicts, and they are most of the time forced back to offending life with dire consequences to the society. I would therefore like to appeal to the general public to see prisoners' integration as a shared responsibility and offer the necessary support to enable these ex-convicts to properly reintegrate and contribute their quota to national development.
Now, the Ghana Police Service has announced plans to train senior police officers to better deal with human trafficking. Now, this follows revelations that many Ghanaians are still being sent into slavery in the Gulf region. Now, according to the service, the unsuspecting victims are lured with promises of jobs and better living conditions, which turn out to be scams. The training will also help with efforts to crack down on child slavery on the Volta Lake. Manuel Coranting has more. Here's his report.
After being upgraded to Tier 2 on the Trafficking in Persons TIP report in 2018, Ghana is yet to fully meet the minimum standards for the elimination of trafficking. Though government has demonstrated increasing efforts by validating and implementing the National Anti-Trafficking Action Plan, there are calls to strengthen interagency cooperation to remove child victims from trafficking situations. Addressing a press conference for selected police officers on human trafficking on behalf of the IGP James Opon-Bueno, COP Patrick Akogo said the police service is mounting a spirited campaign to intercept trafficking operations in the country.
It's being organized for regional commanders whose jurisdiction falls within or around the Volta Lake to improve the ability to deal with the menace of human trafficking. As part of the police administration's discussion with IGM in this program, there's a program to roll out regional commander and regional commanders training, other programs that will involve other commanders and officers on the ground.
The Director of Advocacy at the International Justice Mission, Leonard Akong, wants patrol boats to be deployed by the police along the Volta River to rescue children being exploited there.
But there's also an indication that there's more that we can do. So, for instance, looking at the lake, we believe that we can end the problem on the lake if we start by even putting police patrol boats on the lake. If you travel from Accra to, say, Sinyabriko, or from Accra to Ho, you would see police patrol points or checkpoints. The essence of that is to ensure that nobody is indisciplined on the road and to enforce the laws to ensure that you have the right documentation, you're not overspeeding and all that. So that's law enforcement. And we believe that the lake requires that approach in ending child trafficking on the lake, where there'll be a deployment of police patrol boats on the lake to ensure that no child is being exploited on the lake.
With more people being trafficked into the Gulf regions under the guise of job recruitment, Leonard Akon wants stricter measures to be implemented to clamp down on the activities of illegal recruitment agencies.
We must clamp down on all the agencies that recruit people. I know that government sort of put a ban on recruitment agencies, but people are clandestinely doing it. People are using social media to do it. People are using other means to do it. And I think that it is time where we double our effort to really prosecute these perpetrators, because people get away with it, and so they feel that, well, once I get away with it, I can do it. So prosecution is important. Clamping down on these people, prosecuting them. And when these people are prosecuted, it is important to share those convictions out there to serve as a deterrent to others. It's also important to really sensitize our people. You need to sensitize your brothers and sisters. I need to sensitize my brothers and sisters. And in every part of the country, we must make sure that we sensitize our populace about these dangers.
Now, for several vendors, hawkers and businesses operating along the Abekan-La Paz Highway, every day, no matter how beautiful, threatens a nasty scene as road accidents are quite prone there. Now, they told JoyNews scores are injured there every single week, with some losing their lives after being knocked down by speeding cars. They're calling for proper regulation of Okada operators in the area and also some additional infrastructure. PSC Nanayao Safo has been engaging with them. Here's the rest of the story.
The pedestrian red light, the basic traffic rule saying stop. Yet, as the swarm of pedestrians move across the Abekan-La Paz Highway, it is very clear the rule is the last consideration on their minds. Witnesses tell me that several accidents occur on this stretch and that many people die.
There's been about 3 accidents so far this week. One of the victims lay lifeless on the road after the crash. We had no idea if he was dead.
For a day, I 4 times. A day,
Almost everyone I met here had such a story.
Look at the way the school children are always they are passing here. The car hits them and they kill some of them.
Often after the accidents, victims lay on the road with nobody to help them. A beggar was knocked by a vehicle in a similar fashion, leaving her with serious injuries. There was a motor accident here yesterday. From the looks of it, the gentleman will be amputated.
But almost all of them agreed on the immediate need for the construction of a footbridge.
We need something like overhead.
The nearest ones were some 15 to 20 minutes away by foot, miles from the busiest point of the Abekan-La Paz highway. But even here, the JoyNews team was met with an irony. A father and a son, plus a host of many others, raced across the dangerous roads seeking passage to the other end. They were doing so beneath the very footbridge that had been built for that purpose. Back at the Abekan-La Paz intersection on the N1 highway, the vendors and pedestrians are in full agreement of who the chief suspects are as far as this matter is concerned.
Moto fono, okada fono. Moto. Okada fono. Omo cross sa accident ni na. But the time we to call for cross accident say. Traffic light so eso okada ma eso gina. But has say say adwuma no omo mfa nya adwuma.
But the Okada riders believe such blames are not fair.
It's not necessarily the Okada guys. Both sides, we have to have patience and see when to cross and when not to cross. Dodo ana no so free Okada drivers, dodo ana no so temi free drivers no, because maybe their own yellow on, maybe they will pass red light. They want fast to cross before the red light to on.
Those that admit any wrongdoing explain with mainly two reasons: the police and regulations.
And only there no correct because
it is true, but Okada riders actually have no problem. But we cannot afford to stop at the red light. If we do, the police officers seize our keys.
Traffic lights, the person stop, but I'll stop and pay you key.
But you pay like 200 cedis before you leave you.
So what happens if you can't pay the 200 cedis?
That means your motor will be remain there.
And that's when the light has turned red.
Yes.
So what happens? Your motor is left in the middle of the street?
No, they will push the motor to police station.
And you have to walk away?
Yes. So because of that, when I see red lights, I will just pass by to avoid 200 cedis.
Yeah. Aren't you afraid? I mean, it turning red means other cars are coming on. And you are going. Aren't you afraid that your life may be at risk, or whoever is behind you may be at risk?
I know that, so I have to watch carefully before passing by.
Road safety management expert Cecil Ekolgaba believes authorities must look into the demands of road users for a better life. But even more, he holds pedestrians responsible for their poor upkeep with traffic rules.
Incidents on the N1 is really unfortunate that most accidents will occur. Secondly, pedestrians must be blamed for such incidents because whenever bridges are even provided, they...
Right, so to wrap up on our Arrive Alive content, if you drive, be predictable. Don't make sudden stops or lane changes. Instead, take care to ensure that other drivers are likely to be able to predict your actions to maximize safety. That is how you arrive alive. This tip is brought to you by Toyota and Bedrock Insurance. There's more. Let's take a break first. Well, that's it for the Pulse on this fantastic Friday afternoon. We can't wait to be back with you on Monday morning with even more on your favorite bulletin show here on the Joy News channel. But I know what you can do in the meantime. Go to myjoyonline.com for all the latest headlines from around the world and stay with your station for the duration.